My name is Fayette Fox, and I am the author of The Deception Artist. So, The Deception Artist is literary fiction, and it's about an 8-year-old girl and her family. And Ivy is our 8-year-old narrator. She tells the story in her own voice in the present tense. The book deals with themes of childhood and make-believe and truth and lies. It's set in Northern California during the recession of the late 80s. And Ivy has a vivid imagination, and she likes to make believe and tells lies so that people will like her. When the story starts, Ivy's big brother, Brice, is sick in the hospital, and she is really worried about him. She's not sure if he's really going to get better, or if it's just something that grown-ups are basically lying to her to try to make her feel better. And so she has that anxiety, and then there's kind of this series of events which turn her whole family dynamic on its head. So for this book, I lifted the time and place of my own childhood and used that as the backdrop for the book. But Ivy and her family and all the characters in the book are figments of my imagination. I'm not Ivy, she's not me, and her family, thankfully, is definitely not my family. So I started writing this book as part of National Novel Writing Month, which is a challenge for people to write a 50,000-word novel during the month of November. I started it in November of 2006. I love the idea of just having to write something, and the idea is it doesn't have to be good, it's just a first draft, and I really needed that kind of encouragement to get started. And so then I just kind of kept going with it. Definitely didn't get that far during that month, but loved Ivy and the characters and what I had come up with. So I just kept going. Ended up working on it for about 5 years. And, the story developed a lot and matured. And there was, I definitely didn't have the whole thing figured out when I started, but I really enjoyed that process of kind of getting to know the characters and this world that I created for them. I didn't really lie very much as a child myself, and I think that's one reason that I was interested to explore the idea of deception and lies in this novel. I do remember one time when I was a very little kid, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and it was time for dinner. My mom wanted me to wash my hands for dinner, and I didn't want to wash my hands for some reason, so I just sort of went around the corner, and then a second later came back, and she looked at me and she said, "Did you wash your hands?" And I said, "Yes." And I held up my hands to show her, and then I just burst into tears as it was just too much for me to lie to her, and it was kind of ridiculous. And I think I didn't intend to lie after that. Ivy is kind of a purist when it comes to lying. She feels that if you're making up a story, the whole thing needs to be made up. If you introduce some truth into the lie, then it gets muddied and it's too confusing to keep track of everything.